Hi everyone, it's Raina. So this video is if you have your natal Neptune opposing your ascendant, also known as your rising sign. And I have this aspect, and my mind is officially blown today because I really did not understand the totality of what this means. I believe that one thing this can do is make uh, you appear different in photographs than you are in real life, although I didn't see that mentioned in the material. I looked at a couple of websites. I suppose if I would have, or like a few, if I would have kept going, maybe they would have touched upon this. Neptune is photography, and your ascendant is your appearance, and this is how you present yourself, but also how others see you. So I have had the experience with this placement of a lot of times my picture's not really representing how I actually look, and I've had other people tell me that, like, oh my God, that doesn't even look like you in the photograph. So this is something that in modeling they talked about that, for instance, with photogenic people, they have said that some people are really um, captured in an amazing, magical way through the the camera. And I forgot they have like a phrase for that. Maybe some of you remember. It's like the camera loves you. And so maybe in real life they don't look that epic, but something happens when they are photographed. But I believe that the opposite can happen as well, where you actually look better in real life than you do in your pictures. Like you might not take the best pictures, or it just doesn't really look like, it doesn't really resemble how you look like in real life, whether it's better or worse. Okay. So that's one thing that I was looking for confirmation on, but I still believe that's true because Neptune can, not only is it photography, but it's also illusion or distortion. And so with the ascendant, it's opposing it and it's creating this maybe opposite effect, or something is not what it's supposed to be. It's not in alignment. Like if Neptune was in conjunction with the ascendant, maybe it would be like the pictures are enhanced by some magical, like your appearance really is bolstered by being on film. So anyway, the thing that blew my mind is that they explained that when your Neptune is opposing your ascendant, it means that is in conjunction with your descendant. The descendant is the cusp of the seventh house of committed partnership. And this is going to be the same, because it's an axis with the ascendant, it will be the same degree in the opposite sign. Basically, there's going to be this Piscean influence because Neptune rules Pisces as far as your relationships go. So it's kind of like having Neptune in the seventh house, I guess. And I just celebrated 40 years with my partner. And when I was thinking about what they were saying about this placement, I was thinking, oh my gosh, that is kind of like there's some aspects of this that I have dealt with him, especially like the spiritual part of it, which is kind of the elevated part. But you have to understand that in all of these aspects and house placements, everything that you're talking about, there is the lower manifestation, the higher manifestation. And, we love talking about the lower manifestation because it's juicy. But there is always a higher manifestation, so don't forget about that. But basically what they're saying is that you can have rose-colored glasses when you're dealing with relationships. I want to give a shout out to teaandrosemary.com. This is where I read all of this. So, with oppositions, there can be projections. And so in this case, it can be projecting that fantasy that you have onto that relationship. And, like it could be over idealizing that person, what have you. The person can have addictions, they could be deceptive, just the garden variety stuff that you would expect with Neptune in the seventh or this opposition. And one of the things that I like what they said was they were talking about codependency with this combination, and they said that if you have this opposition, that you can play either role in this seesaw, or what we would call the two extremes of the identities, where one partner is like kind of naive, kind of that Piscean character is gullible. They're easily influenced, and the other one is the more pragmatic one. And they said you can reverse roles. And I think when I think about my relationship, I do see how sometimes we reverse roles in certain things that we're doing. And I actually think that it is a good thing in a certain respect, because what it does is it's like role playing. So you can see how it feels to be the one who is in that gullible state, and the other person's trying to show you how you need to be more realistic, and then vice versa. And they were also talking about the same kind of situation occurring when it comes to deception, where you might be the one who is deceptive, and maybe the roles reverse in those situations where one person, and sometimes there are relationships where both people are involved in infidelity, and maybe one person apologizes and they say they're going to get better, and then the other one has an affair. And I'm not even talking about in a vengeful way, because they both are part of that dynamic of deception and gullibility. So, by the way, my experience with gullibility is that a lot of people who seem like they're just very naive and gullible, I don't believe a lot of them are. I think a lot of them know exactly what time it is, but they are choosing to stick their head in the sand. Like the long-suffering wife whose husband is having all these affairs, and everybody in the town knows it, and they're like, how can she be so naive? Well, chances are she knows what is happening. She's lying to herself. This would be one of those examples, because she holds this person in high esteem. And it's hard for some people to understand how people stay in relationships where they are being deceived, where they're being lied to, where the other person is an addict. And in those cases, they're lying a lot of times too with that. And they just peg the other person as weak. And I'm not saying that there's not a weakness sometimes in people who tolerate, bad behavior in relationships. But there can be this also, I feel like, with this placement or this aspect, and also when I said placement, Neptune in the seventh house, there might be this sense that there is this karmic contract, or whatever you want to call it, and it transcends whatever is happening in that moment. They talk here about when this is manifested at the highest level, this is the soulmate. But they mentioned that you have to heal what this aspect represents first. Now, in my particular case, I would like to think that I have never been like this. And this has forced me to confront that and saying, is it true? Is it not true? And I can kind of sort of see certain things about it, but I don't really tend to worship anybody. I tend to see, I have too much earth within me to be that overly idealistic. So I don't know about all of you and what you have experienced. If you want to share, drop a comment below. But the other thing that is kind of funny, going back to appearance, which I'm kind of interested in that side of things. But I don't know if I agree with this either, because they said, like with clothing, that you can have issues with not knowing how you want to dress, for instance, not knowing what kind of fashion you want to engage in. I never had that problem. They said you might not even know what you look like or whether you approve of your own appearance. I don't think that that's true for me. I always enjoyed, when I was younger, I always enjoyed fashion, and I always had, my own sense of style, because what they're saying is that you can take what your partner thinks of you as your way of dressing. And I know that there are, for instance, women, since I'm a woman, there are women who will dress based on what their partner's fantasy is for a woman. And so they become that person's fantasy. And they didn't say that exactly in that way. So I think they were just meaning that, maybe the person is trying to please their partner through dressing in that style. But I think in some cases the partner may even dictate, like, I want you to look like this and you're going to dress like this. So you're trying to fulfill their fantasy, in other words. So I think that might be also in play. But definitely they talk about the idea of saving people and feeling sorry for somebody that you fall in love with and commit to. And actually, the 7th house is commitment, so it's important to distinguish it from the 5th house, which is love itself. So I have a feeling that, you really have to also bring the 5th house influences into play, or the Venus aspects, Venus sign that it's in, because that may, and even your moon sign, to see, like, emotionally how you are wired and what kind of attitudes you have when it comes to love. So that's what I have for you. I hope that this resonated. If you would like a private reading, the link is below. Take care. Bye.